This episode of Political Radar is brought to you by ReleaseWire. ReleaseWire is a powerful media engagement service connecting businesses to journalists and bloggers. If you need to get the word out about your business, ReleaseWire is an effective and affordable way to reach journalists and bloggers who are truly interested. And we have a special offer for you today. Submit your first on-demand press release with ReleaseWire and save 25% by entering the discount code PoliticalRadar. That's Political Radar. ReleaseWire, from release to results.
Admiral, radar shows that we have liberals approaching at 3 o'clock, and libertarians at 9 o'clock, and conservatives at 6 o'clock. They're coming from every angle, every viewpoint.
Oh, it's Political Radar with your hosts, Rhonda and Elliot.
Hello, all you political junkies. Welcome to Political Radar. I'm sitting here with Elliot Christensen. I'm Rhonda Sitnick-Howe, and we're here to bring you the latest and greatest of everything from local, state, to national politics. Say hello, Elliot.
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here. Are you happy to be here?
I'm less happy than you, but I'm also happy. I'm just kidding. Just a joke.
So we're here to talk about, there's a lot actually happening on the local and state and national level in politics. And I'm so excited to be a part of this podcast. I've been needing something to do since the unfortunate loss of my city council campaign recently. So I'm very grateful to be asked to be part of this podcast. Looking forward to having some really interesting discussions with you, Elliot.
Yeah, likewise. I think it's going to be good. We have like 50 hours worth of stuff to talk about for the first one. So
Wow.
We're going to try to watch the clock. I have to actually reset my little timer.
So what do you think we should start with?
We have water issues. We got city hall issues. We got city hall issues. We got city hall issues. Presidential topics. So I don't know. Pick one and run.
Let's start with start with some city hall issues, because there's a few of those. Just a few.
We'll get that out of your system.
Thank you.
It'll be fine.
Thank you. It's going to feel really good.
So where do you want to start? We got a few.
There's some lead pipe issues happening in the city of Green Bay.
Can you describe that? Because I don't know that everybody knows, even people that are listening that are probably very politically tuned in. What's the deal with the lead pipes?
There have been homes identified that have lead pipe service coming in, actually, from their private home into the city's, like this, where it meets up with the city's access. And they're pretty freaked out about it. I spent a lot of time actually talking with residents in my district about this, and it's a serious issue for them. It's a very expensive thing to fix. And so the city right now is trying to come up with some money to help them out.
So do you think that's a good idea to fix the lead pipes? I mean, it sounds good on the surface, right? But okay, so hear me out. So other people in the past have had to pay for their homes to have their lead pipes fixed in the past on their own, right? So are we gonna give them a refund, discount, or are we just gonna say, well, sucks to be you because you fixed them early?
No, I think the plan, and from what I gathered at the Finance Committee this last week, the plan is to allocate some money, and then as well as look for some federal grants, possibly maybe there's some state money available. We don't need a repeat of what we saw happen in Flint.
Right. So I think that everybody's afraid of that, including me. I think everybody is. But don't you think that there's sort of an issue with people that have already paid to fix their lead pipes in the past, or is that not a problem?
There was a discussion of maybe some sort of reimbursement as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, where did that go?
Well, it didn't go anywhere, actually. They're talking about they need a number to start with, and that's what they're trying to figure out right now. So the Water Commission is actually working on that as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody really has a number necessarily yet. The homes have been identified. There's still homes that are people are being tested. They don't know necessarily if they have lead, but that's out there right now. So they need a number to work with so they know what they're applying for.
So I think we all want good, safe water, right? But if if my driveway has cracks in it, I have to pay to fix that. And if all of a sudden everybody, I fixed my driveway last year, and then all of a sudden everybody else got their driveway fixed for free, I would feel sort of unfairly.
I don't think you're going to die from your driveway crack,
so
though.
you think that matters?
I think that matters a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll come up with a better example.
Okay. Thank you.
What about all right. A pool and a fence. What if I had to put a fence in and then everybody got fences for free going forward? Would that be okay?
That's still not a really good example. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There has to be death
We'll
involved.
loop back. To
Okay,
that.
thank you.
So how would you compare this to what's going on in Flint?
I mean, there are definitely some differences. From what I understand, they actually don't treat their water the same way that we do. I think there's significant reason to be concerned. Lead is a dangerous thing to have in your water system. I personally feel there's also, you live in Green Bay, you're, simultaneously possibly drinking lead-based water as well as sucking in coal pile dust. So,
Sure.
Right. It's a toxic
So
nightmare all around.
do we have an idea of the scope of the problem? I know you said that people need to be tested, all right, or their homes need to be tested, but
There were 1,700 homes identified, and that's a lot.
yeah,
And
it is a
it's
lot.
typically a lot of the homes obviously are older. They're older homes, and they're in one area, in particular. A lot of them were in my district, District 4. Old historic, residences.
So do we have an idea as to why that is? Because there's other old homes in the area. Why is the constant?
It's what they
there?
it's what they built the homes with. It's like what the piping. There's a lot of original piping in these homes.
Yeah, but are there other pockets, or is that just
It's primarily in that area.
yeah?
I'm not sure why.
That seems kind of weird. Like, did we fix it in the past and nobody's talking about that? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Okay. I don't know. I don't have much else to say about that.
No,
I think it's a big deal. I just the only like political slant on that is the issue of people who paid to fix it before. And I actually don't know how much it would have cost a private individual to fix it. If we have 1,700 and we bid it out, it should be cheaper, I would think.
You would hope so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to come to that. that many homes who will need assistance.
Okay.
Was the conversation, but
Okay, so they are expected to pay for their own unless they need it.
well, they're talking about Alderman Joe Moore, who chairs the Finance Committee. He actually put a communication out that he wants to see money spent from the stadium tax refund on that. And I think I agree with that, especially hearing what people have to say that money should be spent on, and that's a whole nother topic right there.
Well, okay, and so we can shift into that a little bit. So the stadium tax thing that you're referring to, for everybody who does not know, we had a sales tax, a 0.5% sales tax in Brown County that was used to fund the redevelopment of Lambeau Field, and we have an excess after that was completed. So all of the local communities got a portion divvied up, and Green Bay has I don't know how many million, but everybody's trying to spend it 5 different ways.
Well, for one thing, there were 2 public hearings on how to spend the money. Right. There were a lot of very good ideas. Nothing's really, from what I know, has come of that. I'd like to see the council actually create a list of criteria of how to narrow down the ideas. Everyone has their pet projects. Everyone has their idea of what they want the money spent on, but there's really not been a list of criteria of how to narrow that down. And if you don't do that, you're going to end up with 12-hour meetings.
So my understanding was that the state legislature said it needed to be spent on tax relief or on economic development. Which, wow, how vague is that, right? They didn't want to specifically say tourism or amenities, but I think that when people hear economic development, they think either business assistance or tourism related or something along those lines. They don't think lead pipes.
Well, I heard an alderman actually connect that exact argument to economic development on the finance committee from fixing the lead pipes.
Sure. Well,
exactly. That's why it's so vague that you actually could go into any area with it.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
About what?
We all want to fix the lead pipes. I don't want kids having lead in their water, right? But do you think that the Lambeau Field money should be spent on that?
I wouldn't mind seeing a portion of that spent on it. And of course, again, I'm speaking on 15 to 20 hours a week of walking and knocking doors and talking to people in the district that I live in.
Yeah.
This is really what their voice is saying.
What
they want. I'd like to see something done, structurally in the city. I can lay in some of the potholes in my district.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're huge. There's a lot that could be used with that money. I think That's why I think there needs to be some sort of breakdown list of criteria, because there's so much you could do with it. I mean, you don't get this money very often. So it needs to be pretty,
Right.
You have to be smart about what you're going to do with it.
So what would you do?
Me personally?
Yeah. Like, I mean, do you, so you have the lead pipe thing. I don't know what that's going to cost. Probably not. What we have like 5 million. Is that what we have coming in?
5.4 million
Yeah.
to the city.
So I don't think that'll cost 5.4 million. So you could, do you take care of the lead pipe thing? Do you take care of the potholes? Do you build a stadium? Do you build a pool?
Are we going to talk about the stadium?
Well,
yet?
I think it's on our list.
Yeah,
So
it
I
is.
think
Okay.
I think we certainly could. So I think yeah. I mean, take that however you want. What do you think?
I think some of it should be spent on infrastructure, ideally. There's a lot happening out there that people aren't even probably aware of. There are people that have water in their backyards, inches deep. Their utility poles are sinking and leaning over because the wood's rotting. We have serious infrastructure problems in the city. I can't imagine that they wouldn't take some of that money and allocate it towards that.
So when I hear economic development, though, I don't hear like helping homeowners fix like residential issues, potholes in residential areas.
Sure, but if you think about it, okay,
Yeah.
so if you help someone spend money on their lead pipes,
Yep.
or their backyard pool that actually is literally just their backyard because of the storm sewer drama that we have, that's less money that they have to spend to fix that problem. That's more money that they can actually put into the local economy. So you can actually connect it if you really want to.
No, I know, and I think that it's too vague. I hate that, because now we're going to argue about this for 3 years. I think.
Not if we put a list of criteria together.
Well, are you doing that?
I wish I could be. Damn it! I should have been voted in. I'd totally be doing that, but that's not the situation, is it?
No, nobody else is doing it. Like
Someone needs to be leader on that, and I haven't seen that at all from anyone.
I mean, they all have their pet projects.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about the stadium a little bit.
Sure.
I think it's stupid. What do you think?
The stadium itself, the proposal.
Well, the new stadium, the baseball stadium, not Lambeau Field. Lambeau Field is hallowed.
Okay. Honestly, I like the concept of the stadium,
Yeah.
and no one else wants to take that piece of property and do anything with it.
Okay.
I personally feel, and I heard from everyone, that the city should not, be spending that money, even bonding for it, because the fact that, they say it's going to be used 150 days of the year. It's really it's another seasonal investment.
Right.
Okay.
In a
We don't need
town
any more of
full-
those.
Right. Our town is full of those.
So why don't we just give them the land and let them build it? The city of Madison actually has a very similar venue, supposedly, and this is admittedly from Big Top Baseball. They have a very similar venue, and they actually, I think Madison spent a quarter of what they're asking us to spend. How did that happen? What did they do to make
So
that
it's
happen?
the same company.
Yes,
in
it's the
Madison.
same company.
Interesting.
Right, exactly. So let's talk about that. What did they need to do to actually get that stadium built for a quarter of what they're asking us to do? Someone please ask that question, because no one's asked it.
No, and I because nobody's asked it, I don't have any answers to that at all. So
Well, right now, and the letter of intent was really what was on the table. If you read some of the media, the Press Gazette, the story wasn't necessarily being told about where the status is of this and where it is right now. It was a letter of intent that was put forward, basically asking the city, this is what we'd like to do, and this is what we'd like you to contribute. But what you didn't hear was, this is what the cost of maintenance is going to be. This is, there was no parking proposal. There were so many things that were left out.
Right.
And I'm going to say this, and you write this down. I actually agree with Alderman Zima on some of this. He finally started asking.
I think I do too.
He finally started asking the right questions about this, because it was necessary. I mean, there's so much left out. Anyone else that's ever come forward with a proposal for the city, they have to do their due diligence, and they have to put all this together. You're asking for how much money from the taxpayers, and you don't have this information in front of these people? What is that? That is how I feel about that. But the idea itself, I'd like to see something other than a rendering of a stadium. Like, we all know what a freaking stadium looks like. Give us something else if you're going to ask us for this much money.
Right.
And that's not there. So I'm hoping with the new letter of intent that they actually put that forward. I mean, they do come forward with something like that, because it's almost insulting to ask us for all this money, and you just have to show up with a nice pair of shoes and
Not Birkenstocks.
No, not that I saw. And then, see what is, they need to put more together. It just
Right.
wasn't a very comprehensive proposal.
I don't understand why what's there isn't good enough. Now, what I've heard is that they're out of room. Why is there not a proposal to add some facilities to what we already have in Joannes Park? Parking, I guess, is an issue, but I don't see how parking in the south end of the Broadway district is going to be better than over by Joannes Park. I really don't understand where we're going to have more parking. So, and nobody's explained that. I've seen nothing on parking.
No, there hasn't been anything on parking. That's why.
And remember, the whole point of this Lambeau Field money is supposed to be tax relief or economic development. So if we're going to create a problem instead of fixing a problem, I mean, the idea is to spur economic development. So if this is going to be that we're going to have a little ecosystem of businesses that build up around that, where are they all going to park? Where are the customers going to park?
That's a very good question.
And I don't buy that either.
And no one's answered that. And so the idea, and to be fair, the proposal that was, or the letter of intent that was put forward earlier, and the idea in the conversation was that they were going to have, the stadium was going to, and supposedly they have some other interests, some other people coming to the table with other, businesses. But this is a problem I have with this. Okay, a lot of this is discussed in closed session. Okay, this is an issue. So you're asking for how much money of taxpayer funded projects where a lot of this is actually in closed session. You could probably have a much better PR experience if you were allowing people to be part of this discussion.
Well,
as they should be. Yeah. You're taking their money.
Right.
So that's what you should be doing.
Yeah. Well, and
it's not happening.
Green Bay's not that big.
Mm-mm.
So we have, I don't know, let's say 50,000 households. I'm guessing, right? So 5 million divided by 50,000, that's like, math is hard, $100? $100 a household, is that right?
Well, yes. But now Big Top wants $4 million. That's what they want to take out of the stadium refund. They want $4 million. So really, they want 75% of that money. Yeah. Think about that for 150 days of the year. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you really and truly feel that you're going to bring in business, let's start talking about that business. If you're not going to talk about that business and let the public know,
it's sort of speculative. And
it's all speculative.
I mean, the NFL is sort of a proven entity, and even that, I remember the original tax debate. Boy, it went down to the wire, and it was pretty close to 50-50, passing that original Lambeau Field sales tax. And the Packers are Green Bay's identity. Whether anybody, some people hate that, some people love that, but that's our identity. That's what makes us different from other communities of 100,000 people. So I just don't believe that I don't have anything against the Bullfrogs. I've gone to Bullfrogs games. They didn't seem over capacity when I was there, but
that's another issue. I'd like to see some statistics of that as well. Is like, how many games have you actually sold out?
Yeah,
that's a little bit out there and a little wishy-washy.
Right.
I will say this: there was discussion of people bringing in a minor league team to play to use the venue, but I will say
soccer team. Right? Are you talking about the soccer thing? Or are you talking about another baseball team?
No, they were talking about another baseball team.
Oh, okay.
But there was some sort of discrepancy, and this was read again at the Finance Committee meeting. Dr. Vonk, who's a city staff member, planning and economic development right now, he talked about the fact that the Timber Rattlers actually sent some sort of statement that said, we do not condone another. They have some sort of, they've got someone's balls in their hands. I'm not sure exactly how this works, but you cannot have another minor league team within 50 miles.
Oh,
and obviously
really?
We fall under that because it's less than 50 miles.
Really?
So that was kind of right there. So I don't know. It's like this whole thing was hyped up without detail. You don't think you can do that. You can't assume that. I'm not sure where that came from, but I have a feeling these people were told, you know what, just show up and you got it.
That's what it seems like.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Why would that be?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me? I have my suspicions, but I mean, honestly, okay, so I'm trying to be fair about that, as fair as I can be, because I was on the fence on the Lambeau Field sales tax, to be honest. I was very That was a very tough decision. I like the Packers a lot, but I felt like making the taxpayers pay for that with their sales tax. So, underprivileged children go to the candy store, they got to pay another nickel so that the Packers can have a better stadium. I had a problem with that back then. So now spending it on something that's even less of a slam dunk just seems sort of preposterous to me when there's so many better ways of course, everybody thinks they can spend money better than everybody else, right? But I feel like there are so many better ways to spend $5 million than on a baseball stadium that it's not going to be used 150 days out of the year.
Can I honestly say, I really don't see the votes for this either. If I look at the council and I look at everyone on there now, I think it's like we're dragging this out, and I don't think the votes are necessarily there. I think if Big Top was smart, they would get a little bit more realistic with us. I mean, how many meetings? They haven't even been able to push further than the letter of intent. So we're not even at,
Right.
We're not even really into the process yet.
So I'm not a Birkenstock wearing hippie. Okay?
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, I mean, I have sandals and I wear them sometimes with socks. But it's I don't think it's the place of a city to be paying for sports venues. I don't, and I don't know
Should
what
we pay for the Colburn pool? Let's move on.
So yes, so that's exactly where I was going to go with that. I feel like I don't want to pay for the pool either, but in the hierarchy, boy, that's a much better investment than a stadium. But it has some of the same issues, right? It's very, very, very seasonal. You're only going to use it 2 or 3 months out of the year. Look at the schedule of the public outdoor pools right now, even the indoor pools, which I also don't understand. Why? Why do we want to spend so much money on something that's only used a few months out of the year?
I think people should understand this detail of both situations. So
this place is called the Frozen Tundra.
No, well,
It's 40 degrees outside right now. It's almost May. Nobody's using a pool in April.
That argument, though, I can honestly say that argument is no one. That's kind of been there, done that. Okay. So
who did that?
Long time ago. This has been an issue for a while. This pool.
No, I know.
And to be honest, this is how I feel about this pool. I think, I actually think it's pretty shitty, actually, that these people raised $1 million. The Friends of Colburn Pool, they raised $1 million for this pool.
Yeah.
That's what they were told that they needed to do in order to get this.
But who told
this
them
money.
that?
The city council.
Well, why did they do that?
Because that's what they do.
Well.
But the reality is that's there. So this was decided. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I personally feel like, especially, I can honestly say I didn't go to every meeting back in the day when this started, but I did do a lot of research and I did some homework to catch up on what was happening. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a lot that should actually be discussed and openly. This pool is really, it's for swim, for swim meets, for swim teams. A lot of the swim teams that are involved in this are outside of the city.
Because it's an Olympic pool.
Well, that's what they want. And that's why they wanted is they, when I first heard about it, I thought, well, what's the big deal? Just redo the pool, make it a community public pool. But that's not really what they're asking for. What they're asking for is a swim meet compliant pool. But the thing about that is the swim teams that really want this and push for this are outside of Green Bay. So don't
they have places to do this already?
That's debatable, but I think that
really?
Yes. The problem I have is it should have been county funded, not necessarily city funded. They should have, if you're going to help these people that aren't even in the city of Green Bay, fulfill their dream, then I think the county should have thrown in some money for this. I don't think the city should not be on the hook, but that's not the situation that we have right now. What we have is a group of people that were told they, raised $1 million and they would have their pool.
And you're saying some of the people that raised the money were from outside the area?
What I'm saying is a lot of people that raised the money worked very hard and it was a very grassroots effort.
Yeah,
so they were promised this pool. But that's the same amount of money that the Bullfrogs are willing to put in as well.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at the two situations, I don't know. But here we are. The pool price keeps going up. They're putting it out to bid again. As of last night, they passed.
As things do. And,
right.
Even when construction bids come in, they went over. Imagine that, so that always happens. So I'm always skeptical of these big projects. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. What do we need an Olympic pool for? I'm not familiar with all these swim meets that we have. Like what is that an important thing? Does it bring money in like basketball does?
According to
Which I'm kind of wishy-washy on how much money that brought into the community.
Okay, so according to Alderman Weary and what the conversation has been, it's going to bring over $400,000 a year into the area.
And what's that based on?
Of
I could say I bring $400,000.
popcorn and nose plugs. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it.
No, it's I think from the swim meets.
Okay.
That's the number that was thrown out there.
If I could interject here for a moment.
You have some facts?
I do.
Oh, nice. That's our producer, Jacob, who has facts.
I do. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but the Tundra Lodge, our local resort, I guess you could call it, has announced that they're planning to put in their own Olympic pool.
Yeah, I heard that too.
But every time somebody asks them for a comment, they decline.
Well, because they're gonna if another one is built, they're probably not gonna. Like that's sort of the thing. They don't want to commit to it, like hard commit, if the city's gonna build one. You know?
Really? Because I don't think that would be a problem for them. They have rooms. They're going to have the stadium
But
district.
they don't need an Olympic pool. Part of that Olympic pool is to get these swim meets that I guess are so highly
Of course they
sought
need.
over.
No, I don't agree with you on that.
Okay.
It would be, and this is just taking the Colburn pool out of the way.
Yeah.
You're going to host an Olympic meet, right?
Well, is it an Olympic meet or
whatever they want to call it, the Olympic-sized pool,
They're just
right? But they're, according to them, they're training for the Olympics. But you're gonna host this. You're gonna get more, bang for your buck if you actually have a place to stay that's in the same venue. Then up the road, they're gonna have this entire stadium district that's being built. Who's gonna get the swim meet? If you're gonna volley for the swim meet, are you gonna go to the Tundra Lodge where you can actually stay in the hotel right there and go right up the road and shop and eat and go to Lambeau Field? Right. Or are you gonna stay, have your swim meet at Colburn? Who's gonna draw the most swim meets? I don't think that's a competition.
So I know where I stand on it. I'm not sure where I know where you stand on it. I think that these people were misled. They should probably be given their money back. But I don't think we should be spending money on this Olympic-sized pool. I think it's I as a taxpayer, I would want to see more details as to why they think that this money is going to come. We built this conference center, the convention center downtown, and now we find out we can't get some conventions because we don't have an escalator. So who does the planning for this stuff, and why aren't they doing a little bit better job?
A feasibility study would have been great, and I don't think it was done.
And I actually think the convention center's fine. I think it's going to it's going to do its purpose. I think it's going to be fine. Because I think that's a proven model, and I think that that is something that can work. And we have a team of people that are getting, that are soliciting conventions to show up. Are we going to hire somebody to handle getting swim meets lined up? And is this an outdoor pool? I have a hard time believing that there's so many swim meets in a summer that it's going to produce all of this economic development money. I don't see it. I don't see it. And so then I feel like the money is better spent on anything else.
I would like
actual infrastructure or actual economic development, and I have my crazy idea where I want to have a Shark Tank style thing, public, with small entrepreneurs. And I mean, a $10,000 to $50,000 grant or loan or microloan with stipulation you have to keep your business in Green Bay for X amount of time. I think that is an automatic economic development driver compared to this thing that's like, maybe.
I don't think anyone's trying to say that pool will be a huge economic development.
And we can't spend Lambeau Field money on it.
Well, but I think again, it's vague, right? It may.
Well, they need to say it. They need to say it. They need to say it, and I think prove it if they're going to ask for that money. I mean, that doesn't mean we can't do it. We have other funds.
Herein lies the problem. So the last council, and some of them shall remain nameless.
No, they won't.
No, this money was. I was at this meeting. This money was actually the money that was. They were asked. You need to spend what $3.5 million. We'll raise $1 million for this pool. For a $4.5 million total package.
And then it went to $7 million.
Nobody discussed that money. No, but nobody discussed this on the floor. Oh. There was no discussion. Tim DeWayne said, I want to see an Olympic swimmer come out of this pool. That was it. There was no discussion on this. So here we are. I mean, this This is the problem. This is where it all started.
Do they know where we live? This is the frozen tundra. That pool will be frozen 9 months out of the year. 6 months out of the year it'll be frozen. 9 months it'll be unusable. So there will be zero Olympic swimmers coming out of there.
They should have from the very beginning. Is they should have contacted the county. Should have been part of this plan.
And I'm sorry, we just don't have the population. If the idea is that we're going to foster Olympic swimmers here, we don't have the population for that. We just don't. Like, that's not something we should be doing yet.
Well, why aren't we going to foster curling?
Well, that's what.
Or bowling. Or ping pong. Ping pong is an Olympic sport, right?
Right.
I'm a really good ping pong player, by the way.
So we're going to get out. How many millions do you want for your elaborate
I
ping
want
pong
someone
table?
to build me an amazing ping pong venue.
Well, that'll be 1.2 million. And you have to raise 100,000.
Done.
Question.
Yeah.
Does it need an escalator?
Yeah, the convention center? Oh, or does the Olympic pool need an escalator?
I think we know the answer to that.
You know what? I mean, to be fair though, I mean, what is this money going for? Is this not what I'm picturing? I'm picturing a pool where people swim in lanes. Is there going to be more to it?
Well, yeah, there's more to it. You haven't seen the proposal. You have a lot to say about something you've not looked at. I've looked at it a lot.
Cutter Mike. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like that doesn't matter to me. Are they building? Is there going to be a shopping mall attached to it? Like,
no, there'll be. No. I mean, you're going to have, a very nice concession area. You'll have locker rooms. Okay. I mean, just
and we're going to net $400,000 a year.
According to Alderman Chris Weary, we are.
I don't believe that. I love Chris, but give me a break. Like, that's not right. That is
I'm
not
just
right.
the messenger.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't know where that's coming from. I would like to see another community the size of Green Bay. I'd like a comparable like they do in real estate, right? I'd like a community the size of Green Bay.
Bird Pool, yeah. Appleton.
Okay, mm-hmm. and they produce $400,000 off of their $7 million pool?
I don't know. Ask them.
Well, isn't it in the proposal?
No, it's not actually.
Well, that's the kind of thing that should be in the proposal. If you want my money, if you want anybody's money in this town, when people are scrimping by in most cases, so that we can have rich people come in and come to a swim meet.
I think this would have gone over far better if they would have actually used it. Okay, the quality of life issue, right? Yeah. Neighborhood, parks, things to do.
Totally
all
different.
Of that.
That's what I thought it originally was.
But if you would have kept it a quality of life issue, you would have, let's redo this pool. It's a great community pool. There are people that can bring their families there.
That'd be 1 million, not 7 million.
That is something that I think would have been pretty easy peasy to get past.
This makes me feel like, sort of like this, like the stadium thing. I feel like there's something going on there that we don't know about
I don't think so, because I think it wouldn't have taken that long. I think it's just, there wasn't enough, the right questions were not asked. And this is what makes me crazy about this council that actually did this. There weren't enough questions asked. The right questions were not asked. There wasn't, there's been a lot of meetings on this.
I mean, that's a huge amount of money. What are they asking questions about?
I'm not entirely even sure. There wasn't really anything. On the table was this money, and nobody talked about it on the council floor. I'm telling you, there was no discussion. It just happened.
They'll spend hours every few years. It'll come up where we try to get rid of the overnight parking ban, and they'll spend hours and hours and hours talking about how it generates revenue, and are you going to replace that revenue? Really? So we tax the middle class because they don't have 3-car garages and they have a teenager in the house, but you
better hide your garbage cans.
And you better hide your garbage cans.
I don't want to see those garbage cans.
Right. I mean, all of a sudden we became suburbia, and we're not suburbia, and we don't have suburban incomes. Suburbian's a word, right?
Suburban? Are you thinking of Serbian?
I was thinking of suburban, but Serbians probably make more money than people in Green Bay too.
Suburban.
I don't know. All right, enough said on that, I think, right?
Yeah, let's go into the other bright idea of how you cannot buy a single serving of alcohol.
Yeah. So, all right. So Daniel gave us this mandate that all of these topics that we're talking about shouldn't just relate to Green Bay. Okay. So I try to keep that in mind and not make it really micro political where we're, poking on a certain individual or anything. But So this alcohol thing. Talk about what that is.
Well, this is actually this is the Zima issue du jour. Really, he doesn't want people to go into a convenience store and be able to buy a single serving of alcohol because that's going to make you an alcoholic. Or if you are an alcoholic, that's going to compound the problem. It's not that, if I don't honestly get the logic on that.
So what I read was it was not even so much about the alcoholism, it was about the littering. So evidently,
can you hear my eye roll?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think everybody heard it. I that is inexplicable. If I get a can of Mountain Dew and I throw it on the road, that is littering. That's the same. It doesn't matter how many servings. I see all sorts of litter all over the place, and it's not. That doesn't stand out to me. I see all sorts of stuff. So are we going to ban McDonald's now?
It's so funny that this guy actually cares about anything to do with trash, because he literally helps people illegally dump bulk garbage in the city, like garbage area.
Really?
Yeah. There's video of it. Just saying. Move on. Keep going.
So, yeah. I mean, I don't know that there's really that much to say other than I don't feel like communities should be, I don't know. I mean, so I don't even know how I feel about
Is this his way of getting back at Titletown? That's what I think.
At Titletown?
Yeah. You know. Well, I just thought came to my mind that maybe it's his way of getting back at businesses that, I don't know, make beer.
Yeah, but that's explicitly carved out. So growlers and single servings from brew pubs are carved out of that.
He's fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. The whole thing is crazy. To me, it seems racist, or classist.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't have any other way to explain it because
white people don't buy 40 ounces?
No, Kyle does.
Okay.
He's very
I've
white.
seen that.
Yeah, so Daniel reminded us that this came out at the same time as the Quick Trip proposal. Quick Trip wants to expand into downtown, and they want to take over the Shell station that's on Walnut Street.
Mm-hmm.
You think it has anything to do with that?
It's entirely possible it does. Can we talk about that actual proposal itself?
Yeah, if you have more to say about that, for sure.
I found it really interesting that they had a planning meeting. Obviously, this is the process that has to be involved in order to put, a development into play. And they had a few residents that came forward and had some concerns, which, you live across the street from a store the size of Quick Trip with the lights and all of the fun things that are going to come into play there. I mean, I understand the need for something like that down there, but be fair and listen to these people because their concerns. You should.
There's already a gas station there, though.
There's already gas. Yeah, but have you seen the size of a Quick Trip? It's very different.
This is a smaller one, though.
Doesn't matter. You still have it's the light pollution, the traffic, all those things need to be addressed as they should be. That doesn't mean you can't do the development, but these are, if you lived across the street from that, you would probably have a little something to say about it. Yep. But that's not my point. My point is the developer who came in during the meeting and listened to these concerns all but ran out of City Hall crying. What the hell is that?
Okay, so
what did you expect?
So to bring that to a more global type of conversation, do you think that a city council or that the local community, how much jurisdiction should they have? There's already a gas station there. Somebody wants to put a gas station that follows all the laws. How much trouble should they be able to give a legitimate business that wants to do something good? I mean, I get it. Light pollution is a thing, but I also hear that we want well-lit parking lots because they're safer. So, I mean, I would say, I guess if it's that much better lit, then this other place is probably unsafe. So that's all very gray and confusing to me. And 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 I know I know our friends were against it that live across the street. So it's and I totally
I don't know if they want or against it. They just want to be heard. And I think if you are a developer and you're coming into an urban area, you are going to have a very different conversation than if you're going out, into suburbia. What did you say? Suburban?
That's a thing.
Suburban world. You're going to have an entirely different, group of people that are there. I mean, you need to be sensitive to that, and you need to muster some kind of sense about yourself to be able to answer those questions, rightfully so. I mean, you're coming in to profit. Let's just be real. So if you're going to come in, oh, please, we know they profit.
Okay, well, all right, but that's only because of the business that's coming in. So they get a tougher time because they're successful?
Nope, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to chill out and sit there and not whine. Not you. The guy that threw it fit and ran out of City Hall or whoever. I mean, I heard that he did. I'm not sure that's true. I wasn't there, but he freaked out. I mean, you need to, sack up and stand there and listen to these people's concerns, address them. I mean, it's not that hard. Or you need to send someone that's better in sales, I guess, if you're going to do that. Maybe that's entirely the thing is he needs to be schooled on how to respond to people that have concerns. If you're going to come into the city, it's very different than going out to the suburbs.
So only good salespeople should be able to open up in downtown?
You'd have a much easier time getting it through.
That feels really communist to me. Like,
oh God,
really, it does. Like that. That is something that as someone who I've seen good entrepreneurs, I've seen bad entrepreneurs, I've seen good salespeople, I've seen bad ones, and sometimes the good ones are bad. And I guess that's what I mean by that. Like that makes me. I don't think that that's what I would want to reward as a culture. I don't want to just have, slick salespeople running everything.
Nobody says you have to be slick.
Well,
okay. But what you do have to do is be able to stand there and answer questions and respond and not freak out like you were just, again, another situation where someone maybe was told they could just show up and it would be seamless, and that's not what's happening.
But on the other hand, I think that the same person or the same group of people, they go to other communities and they don't get all this pushback. And
how do you know that? Do you know that?
Well, why did he run this time? Is this his first time at the rodeo? Is he inexperienced?
Well, I can tell you this: there's a Quick Trip going up blocks away from Webster Avenue Market, and they all but rolled the red carpet out for them. Mm-hmm. So that's probably what he's used to. But that's very different. You're on, a very busy street to begin with. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of residential around that. So it would have been an entirely different experience, I would imagine, sitting at that table, trying to get that proposal through versus you're living, or you're putting up or trying to set up shop from people that have lived in their home for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, especially knowing these people that were concerned, I think if you would have answered their questions and just been a little bit more sensitive to their issue, you would have had an easier time.
Yeah. Well,
you look like a,
that's
I mean,
fair,
look, hello. And then, but you look like a spoiled brat if you can't even handle being questioned. And not only that, you're coming into our city. People need to be a little bit more, I think, sensitive to, you're lucky enough to come in here.
All right. So I want to call that back though.
Okay.
We're paying someone to build a stadium. we're gonna pay for an Olympic swimming pool. And then here's a business. They want to pay their own way and we give them a hard time. That's where that was where I was really torn on the Walmart thing, so we have legitimate companies who come in and they want to pay their own way. And then everybody else wants to be feeding at the public trough. And we equate those things
I don't think you can actually compare, two people at a planning meeting saying, what's the light pollution going to be like? What kind of lights are you going to use?
No,
that's not the same.
No, that's not at all. So, I mean, maybe that's a non-issue. I mean, if they're the only ones and they're saying there's going to be too many lights.
There wasn't a big army of people that came through and was like, we hate Quick Trip.
Okay, so then
we donated to Scott Walker, but we don't like you. But anyway.
Hey, we can't cut down all the politicians, or none of them will want to be on.
This is true.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe the Quick Trip thing isn't an issue then. I mean, you think that had anything to do with the alcohol thing?
I think the Planning Commission approved it, even though he spazzed out. They still approved the proposal, which was interesting. The whole thing was kind of a strange experience.
Just weird.
Yeah. So he's not leaving.
Yeah.
He got approved, so
all right.
why would he?
So I want to put a cap on the alcohol ban, so to speak, because it's so amazing. I think that I think sometimes our friends in City Hall just like to say things just to get PR. And they don't care if it's bad as long as they spell their names right, that sort of thing. Because like that was all over the place. I saw that everywhere, on Facebook, on Twitter. Everybody was talking about this alcohol ban, and I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think that we should. Boy, arbitrary bans on things really bother me because it's a burden on businesses to. A business comes in and they're like, oh, well, this is what we sell in the Green Bay area. We have these, if we think of Quick Trip, they had this is what we sell. Oh, well, this one store because it's in Green Bay, we can't sell our usual stock.
It's hypocritical. This is the same man who was fine and dandy with Walmart selling alcohol 24 hours a day.
Right.
So, no.
I'm laughing at all the words he didn't say.
Yeah. Well, I mouthed them.
Yeah. So it is hypocritical.
It's completely hypocritical. And can someone please just say that?
Me. I said it.
No.
Hypocritical. You said it too.
Someone that actually...
Someone that matters?
No. Can someone in the media say, hey, Mr.
That's us.
Mr. Zimma?
That's us. We're the media.
Do you remember when you actually were, completely, all for 24-hour liquor sales at a Walmart, not that far from where this Quick Trip would be? Do you remember that? He probably doesn't remember that, but
no, that's
reality.
So yeah, I think it's fair to criticize that the flip floppiness.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he just likes to go for the controversy because if something's like, he's like, this is a 50-50 issue. I'm going to take the other side.
Then he can talk for 2 hours about it.
Yeah, and he can pretend to be sticking up for everybody. And I guess that's my greater point. So we have all these distractions of things that aren't actual issues. And I did have on my little list here the transgender bathroom thing, and I feel like it's in that same sort of sphere. It's like, so is this an actual problem, or did you have one person call you up and complain about finding an empty what are they called, the little single serving whiskey bottle things? Like I find all sorts of things littered across our city. That is not the straw that's breaking anybody's back, so to speak, in suburbia.
No, we're obsessed with minutia, and it doesn't serve us at all. You waste a lot of precious time that you could be working on really. And not only that, you waste a lot of precious time on coming up with actual ideas. I'd like to hear more ideas versus, bitch fest. Something that you actually, some sort of vision, something that you actually want to see implemented versus, let's not. How about let's do?
Well, and let's do doesn't just mean spend money, though.
Well, no, and it doesn't necessarily. Okay, let me just say this. I went to an event last night that Current put on called Soup.
Yeah, I missed that.
Oh, that's too bad because it was so inspiring. Here's a group of people who came forward with some amazing projects and ideas for the city. None of it's very expensive, but it's like game changing. We're actually taking our city and making it into something really interesting. And, in order to keep and retain young talent, we keep saying that, but that is the future of our city. And these are projects that, I don't know, I was so impressed with I didn't know these people existed in the community. They actually had this much to offer. And none of these projects were that expensive. Forgive me because I don't remember everyone's name. But they're, like Morty the Moose, Matt Bureau. He just did this amazing mural down in an Old Main area. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool.
It was like $700 worth of paint.
Right.
And you have this, art project in the city it's game changing. It creates, beautifies the neighborhood, creates interest, everything that it does. To me, that spurs that can spur economic development.
Okay, of course. But what we need is the ability to. You need forceful personalities. So the benches on Broadway, that was the same sort of thing. We kept hearing, we can't fix the benches because of the cost and the time, and we went round and round for years, and then finally I just said, I'll paint them.
Well, that's an idea. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm like, so can I just paint them? And that, but the problem is, like, of course, then you get a no. And you need people that are not always willing to just take no for an answer. Kind of like you were talking about the Quick Trip guy. He ran away and hid instead of, trying to find a solution.
Perseverance.
Trying to find some common ground. But sometimes people call that confrontational. If you push your agenda or your idea a little too much, some people don't like that. They like status quo. There is a lot of.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Look at the council. Tell me people don't like status quo.
Right. So, I hope that these people retain their energy, and I hope that once I hope they're able to jump the hurdles instead of crashing into them. That's a metaphor that works for you, right?
Yes, it does. No, I honestly think these people, hopefully they're going to stay in the community. That's the concern. Is like, will they even be here to begin with? And that is something we have to focus on, and that is something that we have to, really put our energy and time investment into.
The only way we're going to get them to stay is if we have a minor league baseball stadium and an Olympic pool.
No, I think we'd be more likely to have them stay if we fix the roads, the infrastructure.
Absolutely.
If we open up amazing bike and pedestrian experiences versus what we have right now. I mean, they just redid the Monroe corridor. Mm-hmm. There's no, did I say that right? Corridor.
Yeah. But that's right by the trail, though, right?
Okay, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There are no bike lanes. It's it's very wide stretch of road. There's not one bike lane painted on that.
Yeah.
But we have really killer LED lights that, dim.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm not knocking that necessarily. It's just why there's things you can focus money on.
So there again,
money.
And I don't know I don't know what the cost difference is actually, or if they have to, there's certain arbitrary rules that sometimes you just are like, and there again, we have people that are in government. Some of them are underpaid and overworked. I get that too. And they hit a no and they're like, all right, fine, I don't care. And they just do, right? They just go and they do what they can with what they have. And they don't have the will and maybe even the ability to fight for some of these things. So maybe it would have been more difficult than we think to put bike lanes in there. I ride my bike all over the place. I love it, but
no, you just need the people who are asking the right questions.
But the other thing is,
some of the I would have to say 90% of the council doesn't even get on a bike.
Well, we live in the frozen tundra.
No,
we do.
That's not an excuse. I'll bike if there's no snow on the ground. I'm biking. There are people that bike when there is snow on the ground.
I know there are, and but we're never going to hit a huge number of people that are going to bike in the winter. That just is not going to happen.
But they don't have to bike, but they might have an understanding of maybe having something in place, some sort of infrastructure in place that attracts people who want to be here.
Yeah. So I don't know that the people last night, are they all bikers? I mean, like, I don't want to pick on that issue, but like, what do we need? What is it that we're missing that we might lose?
And this is not my opinion. This is something that's been studied, researched.
Yeah.
People younger professionals that want to move to communities and start businesses and invest in businesses and all those good things that we need for local economy. You need to tailor to their needs and what they like, a little bit more public transportation, Uber, for instance. I know there's some discussion about that. I actually took my first Uber ride on my birthday, which was a great experience.
Oh yeah. It's always been great.
Yeah. I mean, I had no qualm. There were no qualms, no problems with it at all. But these are things that, bike lanes, trails, they're active, they're not sitting around. We need to accommodate that. They're usually more active. They're more likely to want to get on a bus and take a ride instead of have to, drive everywhere, which you would think we would like, because it would actually help with our road issue, like, the crumbling roads that we have.
So as far as public transportation, my understanding, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I heard like a few years ago, because of our increase in population, that Green Bay actually lost funding because we are bigger. So Green Bay is bigger. We're expected to pay for more of our own infrastructure.
That's an investment, though. That's an investment in your community.
No, fair enough. But I think that that's completely backwards from wherever that money was coming from, state or federal level. I'm like, so now we have if we're a bigger community, almost by definition, we have more people with more public transportation needs, and you would rather fund Manitowoc? Like, that's weird to me.
The funding that we've lost primarily has been federal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, that's I thought it was federal. I just wasn't sure. Thank you.
But we know who's driving that bus, so there you go.
Yeah, Obama.
No, Congress made that decision.
Sure. So, but that's an idiotic decision. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
So
I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, our problems are super complex. And so what else we got here? Oh, our last issue. So we had our Andrew Hooker. He actually wrote in and seconded an issue that you had, which was talking about the whole delegate issue and the popular vote versus the Electoral College and all that on a federal basis. What are your thoughts on that?
I think an Electoral College is not democracy.
Yeah, and so our gut reaction on that is I think we all feel that way, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a nonpartisan issue. And, there's all sorts of reasons why it was the way it was. But, it's 2016. We almost have cars that drive themselves. I think we can handle counting votes, theoretically.
Well,
right?
According to the Republicans, we can't. So, you almost have to have like a chest x-ray just to vote at this point.
Well, that's a separate issue. You're talking about the voter ID, right?
Just in general, just being able to, the fraud in general.
Yeah. But, well, actually, I mean, this would be better for fraud, like, because, we'd have federal standards for it, right? I mean, it'd be standardized, right? I mean, I think that's a valid way to go about
Electoral College?
Getting away from it. The Electoral College is stupid.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. So the unintended consequences of that, if there are any, like every election cycle, the last far back as I remember now, Wisconsin and Green Bay in particular, like our votes matter. All of the candidates come to our little town here and beg for us to vote for them. And boy, that's super awesome. And Iowa and New Hampshire, they're in a similar boat because they're early, even though they're probably a little more partisan or nonpartisan. They're picking they go one way or the other, I guess, right? I don't know. I mean, do you think that really disenfranchises smaller states? Or I don't know. I don't have an easy fix for.
I think the media doesn't
all of
explain it half as well as you do, and so
boy, I did a horrible job.
No, but I mean, and that tells you how great they're doing.
Wow, we're the media now. You got to watch out when you say that. This is media.
The other media. But I think what happens is people are already feeling that, there's apathy anyway. I mean, we know it on the local level.
Sure.
We know it on the state. We know it on the federal level, national level. So we know that there's people out there that really don't believe that their vote matters to begin with. They don't vote. I ran into a lot of these people in the last, 3 months, and that's really sad. But when you have the Electoral College, then you also have Republicans saying, fuck it, we don't care the fact that, he's getting these votes and he's winning, this game. We're not going to nominate him anyway. What does that tell someone who actually took the time, stood in line for 6 hours to vote?
Yeah.
What is that? Why is that party doing that? Well, I want to know what can they do that? I mean, can they just say, never mind, just kidding. We, the last year and a half didn't matter. Can they do that?
Okay. So the whole idea, like parties are not a thing. Like parties are not like an official constitutional construct. Like we could start a party, you and me, we could go start a party and we can make whatever rules we want.
We should start a party.
That would be a really weird one.
I'm not thinking a political party. I'm thinking more party.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I think we could do that. We'd throw a party pretty awesome, but like a political party, that might be tough. But
that is the conversation they're having right now.
Yeah. I mean, but both of the parties have some screwed up ways of picking their candidates. The whole thing, super delegates, and we have a first vote, and we might just ignore it. Like I feel like I'm pretty plugged in. I'm still not really getting it. Like when this all goes down, I think people are going to be horrified, especially on the Republican side. I feel like they're going to, no matter which way it goes, I feel like they're going to feel like they got cheated somehow.
Why would they feel that way?
Because I feel like it's not explained. I feel like it's not clear. I think people are voting and they have all sorts of weird ideas. And then you got Ted Cruz and he's going out there and saying, I have a running mate now. Well, usually you don't do that till you win, till you win your party's nomination, right?
It's all a power grab.
Yeah. So now I think I think that just muddies the water and confuses people more. I think that
they don't care about that. That's the point. They want to confuse people.
No,
they want people to be dumb down and stupid.
But we don't want that. I don't want that. I don't think you want that. So I don't what do? We just let these
I don't
candidates
know.
Go crazy.
If we procreate, we take our children with us when we vote. We talk about why we're voting. We make
I think
sure
that
we
you and I are the only
them.
ones that do that, though.
No, I think it's I have friends of mine that don't vote, and I have no idea. But this is something that you has to be in like an active, like you have to be participating in this from the beginning. We have to create a generation that still wants and cares about what's happening. They want to be able to be a part of that. And I think they have to be informed. There's no reason to be I don't know anything about the candidates, or I have no idea about the issues, really, because you can only go and get 15,000 links to find out.
Yeah.
And all different various, media outlets. Doesn't have to be necessarily one versus the other.
This is our first episode. We rattled through a bunch of things. And I think going forward, I really want to have guests. I think you do too. I would like to invite anybody who'd like to share their views. We mentioned a few of those people. If Guy Zimmer wants to come on, that'd be awesome. If Chris Weary wants to come on, that'd be awesome. I know they can both take the heat a little bit. So even if we give them a little pushback on some things, I know they can.
I don't think Zimmer will show up. He doesn't respond to any media. Why would he respond to us?
Probably not.
He does not care for me.
But honestly, I think we would treat anybody fairly. And if I start treating them unfairly, I think you'd fairly beat me up.
Of course I would.
So I think it'll work well. And I would encourage everybody to if they I don't know how they're listening and how they found out about us, but this will be on iTunes and other places that podcasts are on. They can follow us on Facebook, and there's a website, politicalradar.com. They can go to facebook.com/politicalradar. They probably, if they're listening to this first episode, they probably know Rhonda. They probably know me. So if they have questions or guests, I would encourage them to contact us on Facebook or on Twitter. On Twitter, I'm just Elliot, and yours is complicated, I think.
On Twitter, I'm at Sitnikau. It's pretty easy.
But you have to spell that out.
At
yeah.
SITNIKAU.
Yeah. And on Facebook, I'm just Elliot Christensen on Facebook. And you're just Rhonda Sitnikau on Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's a wrap. All right. Thanks for listening to the first episode of Political Radar. Goodbye.
Goodbye. If you enjoyed this episode of Political Radar, please share it with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. Even better, submit a show review to iTunes or Stitcher. To listen to other episodes of Political Radar, please visit politicalradar.com/episodes. To support our podcast, please visit our sponsors who make the show possible. You can do this by visiting politicalradar.com/sponsors.
Thanks for listening to Political Radar. To ensure that you never miss an episode, subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. To stay up to date, visit politicalradar.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.
Political Radar is a proud member of the Newsmakers Podcast Network, an ever-growing network of podcasts covering a wide range of topics. Check them out at npcn.tv.